So glad to talk about what has been one of the top issues for the Maine State Chamber of Commerce for this session, and that is the privacy legislation ensuring that Maine businesses can still access consumers through the means that has become fundamental for accessing new business opportunities, which is through the internet, through a global marketplace. Uh, I'm so pleased to be joined with a collection of Maine businesses and representatives of the business community. This is an issue that touches small businesses, medium businesses, and our aggregate economy. Um, I think one thing that's important to note is the Maine State Chamber of Commerce has had expanding digital access is one of our top priorities for a decade. We have been working to expand broadband access for homes and businesses alike because we saw the opportunity of connecting quality Maine goods and services to the globe. We've had success there. Just now, Maine is the first state to receive approval for the BEAD application through the Maine Connectivity Authority. We are beginning to do the process of connecting more Maine businesses and homes to the global economy. Yet, however, the privacy legislation 1977 that has emerged from committee over the last week and a half may put Maine as an outlier of disconnecting Maine businesses from connecting to new customers and to the globe. This is the wrong approach. What we really need to do is build on the work of other states, be cautious and ensuring that Maine businesses can connect new customers on what has become fundamental to acquiring customers, and that is through targeted advertising. I want to say that that has become a core part of businesses' manner of connecting to those who are interested in their products. And instead of Maine building on the work of other states, it appears the legislature may be on the cusp of going in an entirely new direction that would put Maine as an outlier. I want to say, as I introduce Quincy Hensel from Portland Regional Chamber of Commerce, that we have heard from businesses large and small of concerns what this would mean for their current business practices. And I'll turn to Quincy to talk about its impact for the regional chamber. Quincy.
Thank you, Patrick. Hi, Billy.
Hey there.
Quincy Hensel, I'm the president of the Portland Regional Chamber of Commerce. And as Patrick said, this bill impacts every business in Maine. And I know a lot of our large businesses have been a part of this process since the public hearing and have submitted their own comments about how this will impact them. Our chamber, we have a lot of those large businesses or members of our chamber, but I would say about 85% of our members are small businesses. And so as we've been bringing our members up to speed, it's been met with a lot of jaw drops, businesses saying, what? I can't do targeted digital marketing for businesses of all sizes, but particularly for, smaller to medium-sized businesses. Digital targeted marketing is how they market. It's a way that they can use really wisely marketing dollars to target those consumers who are going to be most likely to want or to purchase their products. So this is just it's a crucial tool that our businesses have at their disposal, and they're all going to be put at a competitive disadvantage if we aren't able to continue to market our products, our services, our locations using this type of marketing and using the tools to do this type of marketing. And one thing I'll add before we have a bunch of small business owners here and small business individuals on the call who I want them to speak to the true impacts of this. But before I turn it over, I will mention, and you're probably aware of this, that there is technically a small business exemption in the language as drafted. So if you have less than 50,000 customers or clients, you do not have to comply with the regulations of the bill, which is fine, except all of the tools that these small businesses typically use to do targeted digital marketing, are no longer going to be at their disposal. So I think it's really important to understand, because there has been confusion, that even though there is a small business exception, it is not preserving small businesses' ability to do digital marketing like they do today, because those tools will no longer be at their disposal. And I know some of the other individuals on this call will talk about that in a little bit more detail. So with that, I would love to introduce Greg Suche. Did I do that right? I did it right. Thank you. He's with Craig Nair Inn by the Sea. He also serves on the board of the Penobscot Bay Chamber of Commerce. So Greg, thank you for being here, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Quincy. I have some prepared remarks that I had set up today. I'd just like to read through and thank you all for listening. So a little background, my wife Lauren and I purchased this property at the very end of 2018. We became on-site innkeepers, restaurateurs, and employers overnight. This is our home and livelihood, and we have dedicated ourselves entirely to the business. Money, sweat equity, time, attention, and our whole hearts lie here. Our mission has always been to put people before profit, whether we are talking about the quality of life for our employees and neighbors on Clark Island Road, the safety of our staff and guests during the pandemic, or consumer protection in an increasingly pervasive digital marketplace. But how can we effectively advertise without the benefit of data available in the digital sphere? With a limited budget for marketing, we have found it indispensable to apply those dollars using proven, trackable, and practical methods. We can be deliberate and intentional with the resources we spend on advertising. There's a precision and an economy to targeted marketing that is very much in line with our work ethic and the way we wish to conduct business. Not only creating targeted marketing, but creating curated experiences, which are what we've found that today's traveler are really looking for. Maine is already at a disadvantage on the global stage, often overlooked and underrepresented. Tourists now have the entire world open to them. If we lose this footing, our ability to connect with the exact consumers who want to come and spend time and money here, Maine businesses will be losing billions of dollars on the table. How can it be advantageous to the people of Maine to continually take ourselves out of the game where everyone else is operating freely and without constraint? Of course, there must be limits, guidelines, and a code of conduct. Though as we all know, digital marketing is still in a somewhat nascent concern, and we are still learning its role and best practices. But without the benefit of information, of specific demographic data, we will never be able to achieve the goals that we have set for ourselves. Our small businesses thrived in large part due to our data-driven digital marketing strategies. Without it, we would be wasting funds on outdated forms of advertising that deliver limited and unclear results. We can know exactly who we are reaching with digital campaigns and only connect with those folks who want to travel to Maine with the goods and services that our business can provide. This in turn creates waves of opportunity for not only our employees, but our vendors, peers, and partners in the area. Data privacy is a valid concern of ours and an important consideration, but does Maine want to be seen as anti-business? We have just begun to see the enormous success of a rebounding tourism economy with ripples of positive repercussions far beyond hospitality. Mainers are well positioned to lift ourselves up, as we have always done, and to leverage our resources to become a more robust population with increased clout, economic reserves, and the buying potential that will empower generations to come. LD 1977 would undermine all the strides that we have made. Thank you.
Hey, Greg, can I jump in?
Yeah, please.
Can you just share? I know the others, it was pretty clear, obviously where the chambers are based, but are you in, is it Spruce Head?
Yeah, technically we're in St. George. Our mailing address goes through Spruce Head.
Okay, but the inn is technically in St. George.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Thanks. I just wanted to check.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you for being here today to share your perspective. Much appreciated. Now I am going to turn it over to Beth Greenlaw, who's the President and Chief Sustainability Officer at Seabags.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for letting us have a voice here too today. So, at Seabags, we've been around 17 years and we've grown our business to over 300 employees, and we'll be 52 stores across many states in the next month. And I think, while this bill is well intended, as it pertains to data minimization and target advertising, the unintended consequences to business in Maine are just going to be detrimental. So we used digital marketing and particularly target advertising to attract and obtain new customers and traffic to our websites and into our doors. And this is not just an e-commerce issue. This is, a brick and mortar issue. This is our ability to compete on a national level, to keep our employees working, to keep our employees manufacturing here, and to grow our business. So, the impact to our business is our ability to acquire new customers, to retain existing customers, to nurture customer relationships, to attract talent and young talent to come to Maine and work for us, because we do provide this career path for them. And ultimately, it'll impact the valuation of our company, because if we have diminished opportunities for future growth in our digital channels, it's just going to impact us hugely. So, and then there's a whole piece with compliance. With this being played out nationally in Congress and along several other states, there are no clear ways to comply over state lines. So we could put this bill through. I don't know how we comply with it. There's still a ton of fleshing out to do. I don't think Maine needs to lead the charge on this. I think this is going to come out across the board nationally in other states, period. So I think we could all take a breath and let this play out. On a practical level for us, just so everybody understands kind of a real life example, we just got our NFL license, which means we have the ability to put the NFL mark on all our sea bags made from recycled sales that we manufacture here in Maine. We sell this nationally. It was a huge, expensive endeavor for us. It was a gamble and a proposition, but it puts our brand out there for everyone. So if we can't go after the Patriots fans to see our sea bags, or the Bills, or the Jets, or whoever your favorite team is, it's kind of a losing proposition for us on something that really does well for the state of Maine. So I understand that this bill is well intended. I understand that privacy and protection is important to everybody. I think we don't need to lead the charge. I think we can take a breath and let this play out.
Beth, thank you so much. Billy, did you have a question?
No, not right off the bat
Okay.
yet.
Thank you. Thank you, Beth, for being here and sharing your perspective as well. Now I'd like to turn it over to Megan Dillon. She's the Vice President of Marketing at Luke's Lobster.
Thanks, Quincy. Thanks for having me. Hi, Billy.
Hey there.
As Quincy said, I'm the VP of Marketing at Luke's Lobster, based here in Portland. I've been with Luke's over 8 years. And just for a little bit of background on how we use digital marketing, in 2020, when we were forced, like so many others, to close all of our 25 restaurants temporarily, some permanently, we were able to launch a D2C site and really kind of get into that e-commerce game. And honestly, it really saved our business during this time. It was a huge learning curve for us. And when we really started to use digital marketing, and it's become the main touch point for us, attracting new customers and growing this business, specifically our e-com business, but also, kind of as Beth touched on, hugely important for brand awareness as a whole for our business, including our brick and mortar locations and our grocery business. We'll often run several campaigns a year. Our online market business is around 55% new customers on any given month. So using these digital marketing platforms is crucial for us. We'll use these campaigns throughout the year, typically on Meta. We'll run campaigns to reach a lookalike audience, or perhaps reach audiences, for example, with an interest in lobster or seafood. These potential customers can and often do turn into real customers for Luke's, which again is just essential for us to grow. And I really think in general for small businesses and large businesses, but small businesses specifically, we have these small marketing budgets. And as we've said already, it's just a better and more efficient use of these resources, of these dollars, of the manpower, which I think we all probably are very limited in that as well, to be able to target these potential customers on digital platforms. And it's often yielding a higher ROI for us. So it really helps us stand out from the competition, to be able to tailor our marketing. And it's just essential to us to continue to be able to grow.
Megan, can you again repeat you said 55% of new customers in any given month are kind of generated through the online marketing, or?
Will be new customers versus returning customers.
Got it. So around more than half are new versus returning.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. And I believe, Meg, you just joined us. Thank you for joining. We're going through some examples from businesses, from their stories of how they've used digital marketing, targeted advertising And moving on, we're going to touch from the hospitality side, Nate Cloutier. Uh, Nate Cloutier is the Director of Government Affairs at Hospitality Maine. Nate.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick, and thank you, Billy and Meg. Really appreciate this important conversation. A lot of us have been following this for over close to a year now, so it's great to see that there's continued conversation around this. For a lot of Hospitality Maine members, which are restaurant and lodging establishments, so many of them are a one-stop shop, meaning that they are the person who's doing the HR directing, they are the person that does the marketing, and they're also the person that greets people at the front desk. They don't really have time to think about the legalese of data minimization or targeted advertising implications. They just want to know that they're on the same level playing field as the majority of other states in this country. So it's quite bewildering to me how we can, in good faith, tell Maine small businesses that, using the internet in Maine and having it be different than anywhere else in the world is somehow a good thing. Specifically in hospitality, I mean, these small businesses are the backbone of the state's economy, with over $5 billion in sales and $8 billion contributed to the Maine economy annually. And think about that for a second. Our state budget, our 2-year biennium budget, is just under $11 million. So just those entities alone contribute so significantly to the overall success of our state's economy. So one not so great season is enough for a lot of businesses, especially restaurants and inns that run on 1% to 3% margins, to flip that open sign over to closed permanently. I think this is just another classic case of good intent running into unintended consequences. The importance of targeted advertising just can't be understated. If we're going to do this, we really have to do it right. With that, I appreciate, Patrick, the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Nate, from that key industry for the state of Maine's perspective. Going to finally conclude with Corey King, who's the executive director at the regional chamber. He is with the Bath Brunswick Regional Chamber. Corey.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Billy. Thank you, Meg, for being here. Yeah, I'm kind of the guy that breaks things down. And so for me, one of the things that I think is missing in this conversation is targeted marketing has been around as long as marketing's been around. If you're going to do a monster truck rally and you choose to advertise on the hard rock radio station rather than the classical music radio station, you're doing that because you think that your demographic of consumer listens to the hard rock station more than they do the classical station. Or if your event's going to happen in Portland, you advertise on the Portland radio station rather than the Bangor radio station because you're assuming that more of your customers that want to come to that event are from that. So, I mean, targeted marketing, when we're looking at it, it may sound scary to some people, but this is just how you do it online. And honestly, people do targeted marketing because it works. The more niche your small business is, say you're a toy store and you want to get your advertisement in front of, parents that live within 50 miles of your store. Like, your advertisement isn't relevant to 17-year-olds that have no interest in baby toys. I mean, and so the tools that are here are just the way that online does targeted marketing as opposed to how radio does or how print does it. In my area, Bath Brunswick, we have a ton of entrepreneurs. We have Tech Place. We have a bunch of small businesses that may not have the budget when they start off to do a wide, broad marketing campaign across television, across radio, across print. They can do some targeted marketing online for literally pennies. Just to take one example, Facebook boosted ads. I've done this with our chamber before when we're doing events and things, and it's like, hey, for $100 or for $50, you can get XYZ amount of impressions. Say it's 1,000 or 2,000 for literally pennies. I mean, $100 is less than you can buy a newspaper ad for. It's much less than you can buy a radio campaign for, and that's the real kind of dollars and cents of all this. And then finally, just to get back to Quincy's point, and actually I love Beth's point too about about over the state lines piece. I hadn't thought about that part of it, but yeah, we're a state that relies on tourism, and those tourists come from out of state. If we can't target market them, what's that going to do to, you know, the number one industry in Maine? But getting back to the exemption part that Quincy was talking about, yes, small businesses are technically exempt from this, but the social media platforms aren't. So if you can't use Facebook and Instagram and those sort of places, what is your option as a small business? Do you have to create your own social media network and then you can use it? But it can only be up to 49,999 people. I mean, that just seems really, really wonky. And so, you know, I agree with all my colleagues here for all the different reasons that you know, this is going to really take a huge tool out of the toolkit for both small businesses and large businesses. And I just don't think we need to go that far.
Well, I do want to open up to questions to Billy and Meg, but let me thank everybody for giving some tangible examples of how digital marketing and advertising has been working for their business and the consequences of cutting Maine off. To be clear, what the bill does is allow, as Corey said, allow businesses to utilize the data from their websites. That is not how targeted advertising is occurring. The data exists from these large search engines, from Facebook, and it has been integrated into how people access customer acquisition to connect your product with customer interests. That is the foundational to how business is being operated through a global marketplace today. And as proposed, this bill would shut Maine businesses off from accessing that technique. We are encouraged. Just over the weekend, the chair of the Senate Commerce Committee and the chair of the House Energy and Commerce Committee announced a proposed legislation at the federal level. I think people clearly see that there does need to be a federal standard that is consistent because businesses operate across state lines specifically for this activity. And then furthermore, we do feel as though we're making this message. We do appreciate the uh, the the length that the Judiciary Committee went through a public process. We're finally bringing from the consequences of their language, the business ramifications to the committee. We do think that there is still time to change this legislation and make it work for these Maine businesses to continue their marketing and also protect the privacy of sensitive data. With that, Billy, Meg, any questions for any of the speakers?
I was just gonna say, for any of you, did you prefer Senator Kime's, version? I know some people still had concerns with that, in committee as well, but for any of you, not only Patrick, unless Patrick has thoughts, just on that other proposal that was obviously moving forward at some point.
Anybody want to respond to that? So that framework for what we're discussing today was more consistent with what we've seen in other states. So on the piece of data minimization and targeted advertising, the Maine State Chamber of Commerce was supportive of that component of the bill. There were other aspects that we had concerns specifically related to what entities are exempt, that we are not supportive of that legislation, but on this piece, we did feel that it followed other models of success in other states. Other questions?
I guess the only other thing was, Patrick, you or others, have you gotten a sense of the governor, of course, on this, or how she views it?
I'll never speak for the governor, but I will say this is one of the few issues that the Maine State Chamber of Commerce raised with her at the beginning of the session. She understood that the details of this matter, and we certainly have having businesses contact her now that this language has emerged, and have had constructive conversations both with the legislature and with the administration.
I will throw in here too, this privacy bill has been through several working sessions, and a lot of my business owners haven't had a chance to follow all the ups and downs of it. They knew a privacy bill was coming of some sort that had to do with customer data, but they weren't really sure what it was going to be. And then once this has come out, we've been kind of letting our members know. And every time I go to a networking event and every time I talk to people about this, they say, oh no, this is terrible. This would really, really hurt us and hurt our chances. And so I think you will see a much bigger uproar from businesses the more they get familiar with what this proposal actually states in it, and really once it's broken down to them about how it's going to limit what they can do. You're going to see even more businesses being very, very concerned with it, because it's just such a regular piece of how they market and how they do their business that is just going to be taken from them, and that's the really hard part.
Well, Billy, we really appreciate your joining us today. Meg, thank you for joining as well. If there aren't any questions, we can conclude. If and we'll certainly be available if there are any follow-ups to both of you as try to tackle what is a fairly complicated issue, but has some real practical implications for the Maine business community. Any final comments from the rest of the speakers, or any last questions?
Thank you for the time.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Thanks, everyone.